This week on Hey the Parents, we are talking about adventurous eating with your kiddos. Sometimes you just have to give it a shot when you don't know what to expect. In the words of Alton Brown, chickens don't have fingers. So say goodbye to pizza, say goodbye to chicken nuggets, and say goodbye to mac and cheese, because in this episode, we're going in a different direction. And of course, we talk about when we were younger, mishaps with our own kids, and what the supposed experts say. Because it's the three of us and all of you. I'm Michael Height.
I'm Sara D.
And I'm Mike Levine.
Kids don't come with a handbook, so we need your help.
Where do babies come from?
Where do you think they come from?
Is this a kissing book?
Mama!
What?
Hi.
I learned it by watching you. There are no rules in this house. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
We sent them to the best boarding schools. We hired the best nannies. We did everything right.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf!
No drinking, no drugs, no kissing, no tattoos, no piercings, no ritual animal slaughters of any kind.
Together, we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
This is Hey Other Parents, an honest, messy, imperfect show for raising kids.
Hey, it's us again. Welcome back.
What's up?
Hello, what's up?
Welcome back to our show. It's a Tuesday night. We just came off of not having a snow day with our children. It was snowy. It was icy. It was all the right magical ingredients for what we were expecting to be a day in the morning with the children. And, somehow the powers of the weather that be didn't provide. So we are here on the eve of that excitingness. The eve would be the before, right? We're on the post traumatic afternoon of that, I guess.
Sadness,
Right?
the letdown.
All right, so here we are. Yeah. Well, we can't look backwards. Right, we can't look backwards. We can only look forward to more disappointment. So this week, my kiddos and I, we had a fun evening. We're going to get to that in a little bit with these two amazing hosts. We have something later in the show, a little bit of a treat, something to talk about. But I have to laugh for a moment because I remember in a video game episode that we just did, Mike Levine was telling us all about how Lucas would jump into the Jurassic Park. The Ride of Doom. And we joked around, of course, that the Ride of Doom, that shouldn't even exist because every character in Jurassic Park that tries to escape gets eaten by dinosaurs. So anyway, we were at a birthday party over the weekend. Happy birthday, Josh. Our friends Michelle and Frank, their children. Josh had a birthday party at a bowling alley. So we went, brought the kids. It was just the chaotic mayhem that you would expect. They did a wonderful job, but there's no getting away from the fact that bowling parties in general are just like utter chaos. But they did a wonderful job. So they did the thing where they did the bowling, did the cake, did all the good stuff, and then the bowling alleys typically these days they give you like the cards where you could like play video games afterwards.
Yeah,
how the whole thing works.
Yep.
So we had these cards and we're like, oh, Noah has a card? Why did you give us this? So Noah has a card. Jacob has a card. Ethan's got a card. Jacob's like doing some skee ball. Ethan's like, yo, Mario Kart DX. That's where I'm at. So Ethan was like, Mario Kart. I look over to my side.
Was there any Metal Slug there?
Dude, I know. I was thinking of you, seriously. So there wasn't, but yeah, I was thinking about my emulators on my computer. So we were there, and I looked to my side because I'm like with Ethan. He's doing like the Mario Kart thing, go with Jacob a little bit. And every time I look over, like Noah's on a newer and improved Dangerous Vehicle video game that he's playing. So like Rachel first has him on like he's playing Mario Kart. I'm like, cool. Then she has him on like a motorcycle. I'm like, this is getting interesting. And then she comes back and she's like, I had money to burn on his card. I'm like, did he have to know that? So she apparently she was tapping into her Mike Levine-ness, and she put our 4-year-old on the Jurassic Park dinosaur ride with guns. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, hold on a second. Did we just throw all caution out the window? Like, what are you?
Yes. So, good job, Rachel.
Apparently, he's not completely traumatized. I don't know what happened, but I don't know. She was like, oh, you're shooting like fun little snacks at the dinosaur. I don't know what she told him, but I don't know. Maybe he's made of tougher stuff. What am I to say?
He's going to be a dinosaur hunter for sure.
Oh, you think like him and Lucas are going to like go out there and be like, okay, listen, this is our mission. We got ourselves a T-Rex. We got ourselves a couple Raptors. I don't know, but I don't know where I'm going with this, but I don't know.
Hey, so, they may turn into a dinosaur. You never know.
Listen, I've seen it firsthand with your buddy, so it's all good.
Yes.
So listen, this episode, we are talking about adventurous eating with our kids. I don't really know what that means, adventurous eating, but this episode is about getting away from the typical standard issue things that occur on like a quick night to the pizza store, a little like, order the nonsensical kids meals like the elephant and the pterodactyl from the diner. We are talking about getting away from the quote unquote Americanized frozen chicken and moving on to other things. So that's what this episode is all about today. So I'm excited.
I feel like anything more than chicken nuggets and French fries is adventurous for children. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's funny because we saw Alton Brown. He's a chef that like had the what was that show they used to do? Cook something or other. Wait, I'm looking across my bookshelf. I'm looking over there. What is it? I know what it was. It was Good Eats. Good Eats. Do you remember that show?
Oh, Good Eats. Yes, that's it.
So like he did so much work with the production. Him and his wife did it. He made all the sets, whatever, it doesn't matter. So I saw him once and he did this live show and it was like, why are we going to this? I'm like, I don't know, it'd be kind of cool. So we went to this and it was Alton Brown and he's like, it's basically like a 2-hour crazy like stage show of him like cooking and talking about food and basically whatever the heck he wanted to do. And I remember specifically, he said this one thing of like the rules, like these are like the certain facts in life. He's like, chickens don't have fingers. And I was remembering that. I'm like, what is this man talking about? And then obviously the whole spiel was about this idea that like, try to stop eating things that are like, with your kids, like try to get them to eat other stuff. So I kept that in the back of my mind because someday down the road, there would be a day where the three of us would get together and discuss food and snacks and things that were not related to the kids menu. So anyway, so here we are, right? Yeah. We are here. We did go out this week. We went out for a little dinner with we each of us brought a kid or two with us. We went out to eat, but first I thought we'd go swing on back in the electric time machine. Is that what we're calling it now? The electric time machine back in the day, and think about what it was like when we were exposed to the children's menu at the diner and all those good things. As far as like, eating goes, I feel like there's obviously like whatever we grew up with, like we always joke around like Mike and his rice and beans and Sara, had her food with her family and, her dad busted out the Italian meats and everything else. And, Sara, I'm basically just like guessing and what's going on here, and, my mom made chicken 365 different ways, but then there would be like special occasions where, like maybe they would cook something different or they would take you out to eat or you'd go somewhere. And then all of a sudden, like, all bets are off. And for us, the big thing was, I remember my parents, we used to like talk about living in New Orleans, and every so often they would make like shrimp cocktail. And as a kid, I remember like looking at that like as if it was from another planet. And it was like, it was definitely mind over matter. Getting used to even like eating shrimp was like a big thing as a kid. Like it was like I don't think it's as normalized as it is now. Maybe like cold shrimp was a different thing, but like obviously shrimp and like breaded with like ketchup inside or cocktail sauce is a different story. But having cold shrimp staring at you is a different story entirely. Did you have a thing when you guys were younger? Like was there a certain food that was like kind of like put you over the edge, or you were kind of like, I don't know about all this?
Yeah, like when I was younger, my mom always said I was always a good eater. When I was younger, I was one of those kids. I was one of those kids that there was like never a problem. I always tried everything, and if I didn't like it, I just didn't like it. I was that kid that your mom would always say, "Oh, just give him a bottle and he'd be fine," because I was that kid that just always loved trying foods and things like that. I remember when I was younger, one thing that really freaked me out was my dad eating lobster, and I remember this vividly.
Yes,
like it comes to my. Like, if I think about anything weird when I was younger, I remember my mom had cooked all these lobsters. They turned red. We were trying it for the first time. I was trying it for the first time. And, you really don't eat much of the lobster. You eat the claws, you eat the tail, and then you have that whole head part, right? And my dad made me, like, almost...
let it all out.
Sick, yeah, almost sick.
Oh man,
he ate the eyeball of the lobster of the front, and then like on the other side, like you flip over the head, and there's like all those like different colored things that are in the lobster.
Going on.
I don't even know.
And
and people love it. It's delicious.
Yes!
Apparently, the roe of it, and
yeah,
it's kind of.
And it just freaked me out. So, like, you know, when you asked me, did anything freak you out when I was younger? I just remember vividly my father eating those different colored things of whatever's in a lobster, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna stick to the tail and the claws. You do you, Dad. You do you.
You brought this up to like. I gotta be honest with you. Like sometimes I don't know where you're going with things, and you did. You showed me that I didn't know where you were going with things. Because, like, I mean, let's just break down the idea. Like, I was thinking lobster too. That's funny because like it starts out like obviously you watch TV, you watch whatever else. It starts out alive, and then it goes into a boiling pot for its doom, and then however you look at it, it comes out and it's like on its back. Cut open, ready to rock,
like surrendering to the world.
So we got lobster. Lobster is definitely key. Did you guys? What about like liver? Did you have any like chopped liver? That sort of thing?
Man, my mom used to make liver. My dad loved it, liver and onions, and I liked it up until I figured out what liver was, that it was liver. And then,
in its like uncooked form, you're like, whoa.
And then like when you start like eating things, and you know, like when you eat things for too long, you're like kind of swishing around your mouth, and you're like, what? Whoa,
all of a sudden the left brain, the right brain start chatting.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait a minute,
it's a
hold
lot
on.
of textures. Wait, what part is this? Oh, no. So then liver, that was out for me. However, when I was pregnant with Sophia and Julian, my mother-in-law used to make liver for me because like to give back like the blood to your system after.
Oh, really?
Birth. Yeah, that was like a thing. And man, can I tell you, Sophia's almost gagged eating it. But after Julian, I was like, liver. I love liver. Yeah. Every once in a while, I crave liver, but like I don't know how to make it, and like you have to make it properly. And I guess my mother-in-law made it properly. Like it was good stuff over there. But my dad used to eat octopus. Like the little baby, like the seafood salad.
Were
and
they
the little
squirming? Were they moving? Or
no, they were not alive, but they had the little tentacles out, and I would just watch him like and just like eat it, and like I was like, oh my god, that's disgusting. And then we used to live by it really was, and then we used to live by the South Shore. Back in the day. So we used to literally go in our backyard and start crabbing for crabs. And we get crabs, we get squid, whatever. My mom would cook it.
No way.
But like they'd be like alive, and she'd be like, all right, guys. She'd be like throwing knives at them. Like, it's like I'm sorry. I'm sure people out there are like, oh my God, the poor crabs.
Oh my God, Sarah. You're triggering a traumatic memory.
I'm telling you.
I would always go fishing with my dad, and for some reason we would never bring home fish, but we'd always bring home crabs. And then my mom would make like, some type of crab pasta or something like that. But I remember her just throwing all the live crabs in the boiling pot, and they're
man.
Oh my God, this is horrible.
Oh no, my mom would like
take
Indiana
Jones, the Temple of Doom, and they're like,
yeah,
Mom Shabab.
Mom Shabab. My mom would actually put them in the sink, and they'd be like, crawling all over the place, and she would like throw them in the water or whatever. And then I never ate them either. I helped catch them because.
Traumatic
I felt like
moments, right?
You know what it is? I felt like a cat because I would like go grab like all these crabs and be like, "Here, Mom, here's like a bucket of crabs." She's like, "Oh, good!" Like excited. And then like our neighbor Bill,
more lamb to the slaughter.
Yeah, he'd be like, in the morning, Bill across the street, he'll tell us kids, he'd be like, so if you guys go crabbing today, bring me a bunch of crabs. I'll cook them for you." And I remember like my mom used to just boil them in water, and Bill. This guy was cool. We would catch all the crabs and we would bring them over, a big bucket of them. And then he would put beer in the bucket, like in the water. And I'd tell my mom, I'm like, Mom, he put beer in the water. And he cooked them with it. I was like scandalized because my parents were not drinkers. Like beer was never in the house. Wine was never in the house. So I was scandalized. And she's like, oh, she's like, that sounds interesting.
A little for the crabs, a little for Bill.
Yeah. And then like me and, Billy from so it was old Bill and young Bill. So young Bill
story's getting even better. I love it.
I know, I'm telling you. So me, Anthony, and young Bill, we would go catch crabs. Then we'd go to old Bill's house and bring the crabs. Then he would put all the beer and stuff like that, and then we would chow down on the crabs. I don't know why. Like when he made them, it tastes way better than my mom's. Just saying.
It sounds
There's
interesting.
probably like Old Bay seasoning and all kinds of like good stuff.
Yeah,
right?
they
Like,
did like old school
yeah.
stuff or whatever. And my mom was probably doing like some other different way that was scary.
Oh my god, it's so funny because it's so like what you're used to growing up, but like those moments are like so traumatic. Like I remember, like there was a seafood place in Lindenhurst. It's like a place in Long Island where they had this. There's a series of these seafood restaurants, and one of them, I can't remember exactly what the name of it was, but it was like home of the Twin Lobster. That was like it was something seafood, home of the Twin Lobster. You
They actually, yes, no, they're still open, and they have like on the, like by Rosedale, they have like a fish stand, and you get the stuff there.
Southside Fish and Clam. There it is.
Yes,
I found it.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh, that is hysterical.
They're so good. I remember going there too.
Right? It's good, right? But there was like a fish market on one side, and then you'd walk in and like there was a tank of lobsters. And like I remember we would go, like my sister and I were too young. My parents wouldn't get us lobster. They're like we would get like, a shrimp scampi or whatever it was, or like, whatever. And then like you would choose the one you wanted. So it was like you would mark it for death. And it would be like that is the one that is coming with me. And they would have but they would have it, and it was like once you got over that whole thing, then it was like, you have your like either Manhattan clam chowder or New England clam chowder. In New York, there's something called Manhattan clam chowder. This is a thing that is also served as an alternative to New England clam chowder. So this is like, it's got the red marinara. It's like a red sauce kind of soup instead of like it's like more of like a minestrone soup with clams. Yeah. It's delicious. I've never seen it outside of New York. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so you have that, you eat that, you forget about all the hostilities and things you've just seen of seafood being killed. And then you see like people having like oysters on the half shell and clams. Then by the time you kind of settled into things, it was like all good and gravy. But there was that moment where like you definitely, each time you walked in, you were like, oh, look, those lobsters don't know what's coming to them.
Oh,
do you feel wrong sometimes when you just do that? I know, like, picking it out and like, oh, this one looks tasty, and then you see it moving around, you're like, you have that like moral conflict.
I think it's like you gotta just like tilt your brain a little bit in a different direction, because we would go to a couple times. We went up to Maine in the summer, and they would have these like it's not that uncommon. They would have like these seafood stands where they would be like right on the highway alongside like the beach, and then they would have lobster and stuff, and they would cook the lobster in seawater. It's pretty wild. So it would be very salty, they cook in seawater. And then they would always have blueberry pie. So it was like fresh lobster, blueberry pie. And that was like kind of thing. And like, I think it got to a certain age, it was just kind of like the excitement of having like the dish that the adults had. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like almost like sitting the kids at the adult table was like, that was the big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's Julian. He loves that. And we have like lobster or crab legs at home. He's like, can I have some? Can I try some? Yeah. He's curious.
Yeah. I mean, like,
and I remember like, oh, go ahead.
No, continue. I'm sorry.
No, you should always be sorry, but it's okay. No, go ahead. No, you never be sorry. You tell me what's on your mind, buddy.
No, I was just going to say, I never really go to any more Chinese buffets nowadays, but in the past, I remember like, that was the thing. Like, I always wanted to go out with my friends, especially for like my birthdays. Like, my mom and dad would take me, like, take a couple of your friends. We'll go out to like a Chinese buffet, and then like we'll go to a movie. It was really cool. It was like a really cool experience.
Best night ever.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then me and my buddies, we'd all eat, a bunch of Chinese food and all different types of things that were there, and crab legs, lobster, whatever. And it was just always a good time. And that's what I love about, Chinese buffets, because you kind of just, you can eat all you can eat, I
feel like there's so many things when it comes to like the idea of eating like culture outside of stuff that you have in your house is like always the exciting or thing, right? Because I remember like growing up, we would go to the South quite a bit. Like my parents would go on a lot of trips and stuff. So they like, my dad... my mom went to graduate school in the South. Mom went to Tulane. No, my dad went to Tulane. My mom was North Carolina, rather. And we would go on occasion to go on these family road trips. And one time we were going to the first time we went to New Orleans. We drove, so it's like a long drive. And we were in Mississippi. And my dad was like, what do you guys want to eat? I'm like, I'll go to a diner. And my dad's like, there is no diner in Mississippi. I don't know where you think you are. 2 seconds later, on the right, boom, this is a diner. He's like, well, guess we're going to the diner. Yeah. But not like, it was not a diner like, the typical New York diner. We went inside and, it was like a whole different experience. And I remember the first time my dad got red beans and rice. And it was like, there it was with the smoked andouille sausage and the cornbread on the side. And I couldn't get over this idea. I'm like, you're going to eat a bowl of rice and beans? I'm like, this is your dinner? And then I tasted it. And I'm like, oh, baby.
Oh,
Daddy knows what he's talking about. This is how we do. So I feel like there is something without a doubt about like, I think at that moment in my life, I feel like I was like, all right, game on. I'm buckled in. Let's do this. I feel like I always wanted to like try new and different things and really just like get out of my element. But I don't know what it was that like I had that like kicked me over to the side of the table. But I think it wasn't somebody else telling me that I had to eat something. I think it was like the temptation or something coming from like my side and me being willing to try something or being tempted. You know what I mean? I feel like if somebody else was like, yo, you got to eat this, I'd be like, I don't know. But then like having that desire to try it yourself, I feel like there's something about like, you jumping past your own comfort level and you doing it yourself. I think that's kind of like empowering as a kid. You know what I mean?
No, I totally agree with you, especially with the Chinese buffet style. Like, there's all that food there. You know, you don't have to order off any menu. So you can literally see a bunch of things that you've never tried before and have the freedom to kind of try it and be adventurous. And, you know, you don't like it, no big deal. You could just get up and try something else, you know?
So I remember, like, so check this out. When I was, I don't know if you remember this. Do you guys remember, like, there was, like, a commercial? Do you remember these commercials that were, like, I don't know if it was, like, American Express or, like, MasterCard? There were these series of commercials that, like, came out for a while, and they're all about, like, traveling in cities and eating out. And there was this one showing this guy getting this huge plate of crawfish with, like, his glasses steaming up. And it was like, whatever. It was like an advertisement for like, you take this card, you can go out to eat, and they'll take it anywhere. It must have been American Express. So anyway, so I don't know. So I saw this commercial, and like in the back of my mind, I was like, I must eat crawfish. Like this is like, you know, like a message from a higher being that you must go and have this. So my parents, I mentioned, you know, live in New Orleans. So when I was in college, after I got through freshman year, still in college, still allowed to stay in college. I finished college. It's okay. So I ended up, my dad came and he decided we would go to New Orleans for Jazz Fest. So this was awesome. So my dad came as a freshman, as an irresponsible freshman, did not pack until the very last minute, had to go out with my friends, see everybody. So I didn't get a wink of sleep that entire night. I was busy packing up the dorm room. My poor dad, I think I slept like pretty much 95% of the way from Clemson to New Orleans.
Awesome.
Nice.
So I know, some road trip, right? Sorry, Dad. So anyway, so we get there and we go to this restaurant. It's called Middendorf's. And people that lived in New Orleans, that like, you know the area, know that outside of New Orleans on Lake Pontchartrain, there's this restaurant called Middendorf's, and it's kind of like on the border in the bay. It's like out in the middle of nowhere. Like even trying to find it, like it's easy to miss. So anyway, so we go to this place, and you walk in, red tablecloths. People are all like eating like, you know, catfish, and it's just everything that you could in your mind envision, like the Southern quintessential restaurant, you know, getting the right vibes, get the music, you know, whatever. So I walk in and like I'm game on. Like I want to have the catfish. They're famous for it, but more importantly, I want to have crawfish. So you know, we sit down, you know, see the waitress, whatever else, and we order it. And like I don't know, like she's like, how much do you want? I'm like, I don't know, a platter. Apparently, a 5-pound platter comes out, and she pops it down right in front of me, and it is like. I think I almost was like chicken because like I saw it and I'm like, I don't think I can do this. So then like I'm looking at my dad, I'm getting like, you know, getting a little queasy, and I'm like, you know what? I think I just got to do this. So I pop the tail off, break it apart, eat it, and it was amazing. And then like 2 seconds later,
oh really?
Color is back in me. Everything's good again.
Nice.
But like just like that plate of like what looked like the large insects are like staring back at you. Oh yeah. And you know what I mean? And it's
we went to New Orleans with Gene and I went for his birthday.
Oh, I remember that. That was like a few years ago, right?
Yeah, and I was psyched to have I was so excited to have the crawfish. We went to a crawfish boil, and they put it all on the table.
Oh, they dumped it on the table, like with the potatoes and the corn.
Yeah.
And
man,
yeah.
I was pumped. I got to the table, I looked, and I said, "Oh no, I can't eat this." And G's like, "Try it." He's like, "I'll break it for you." I'm like, "Nope. I saw it. I can't." I'm like, "Wow, it's really small and." Insecty, and I was like, I can't do it. I was like, I just can't. I tried. I was like trying each time, and I just couldn't. I couldn't.
You know, it never matter in such a big way, right?
Yes, it really was. And like, I consider myself a pretty adventurous eater, but like that was just the one thing I was just like, I can't do that.
And it's funny because I've always wanted to try crawfish, and I've seen like cooking shows, I've seen things on TV that are like, oh my God, this looks amazing. But but just like looking at the crawfish, the insecty thing, like Mike said, it just like when it's there, you're just like, oh, I don't know if I can do this or not.
Meanwhile, the lobster is a bigger version of it. I'm like, whatever. I'm like tearing it apart. I don't care.
Too much of a correlation with like creepy crawly things. That's probably what it is.
Because it's just so small and it's like the size. I don't know what it was. I'm dying to try it, but I just.
We'll do it. Don't worry. We'll get through it. We'll do this.
Faint of heart.
The other thing that I remember too. Yeah, you got this. Now it's on our radar. Now we're doing this. So the other thing that I was thinking of as well when we were kind of preparing for the episode was when I lived in college. That's a weird statement. When I lived in college, that sounds weird. When I went to college, like this is pretty common. Like I went in South and like. In Clemson, I wasn't going to go home, every little break because it's so expensive to fly and all that. So there would be times where I would go like to other people's houses, like, friends you make, whatever else. And there was one friend, Josh, that I had, and we would go to, he lived in South Carolina, kind of outside of Charleston. And I didn't know this, but the big thing that they would do is they would have these oyster boils and oyster bakes. And what they would do is they would take like most common oyster you would just have like either fried like in a po' boy, but like most frequently is oyster you just eat in the half shell and whatever else. But in South Carolina, a big thing that they would do is they would take they would get like a big bushel of oysters. It comes in like basically like a net, and you get like a weight, like it's called a bushel. Here we are back to bushels and pecks again. I don't know how that happened.
Look at that. Bushels and pecks.
You would go to the store, and I was like perplexed by this. So like, how they kind of like grow, they're like attached with it, like it's whatever. So you get like a big bushel of oysters, and what they would do is on a huge barbecue, they would soak like burlap sacks. So they would take the burlap sacks or towels, and they put it over the oyster, over the oysters on the barbecue, and then they would turn the barbecue on, and they would steam and cook at the same time inside the barbecue. So they get like charred, but they also get a little smoked, and then kind of like the steam would open them up. And then you would crowd around, you dump them on the table, kind of like you were mentioning, like with a crawfish boil, dump them on the table, and everyone kind of like, have your drinks, hanging out, got your shuck, and just kind of having your oysters, just popping them in your mouth with a little sauce, whatever else. But they're so good. And it was like such a cool experience. But what I loved about it, it was more than like just the food. It was like the environment, like, you're out in the South. It's like, it's warm at night, the smell of the sea. And it was just like the right environment. I loved it. And I probably ate way too many, but I think like these little moments, I feel like there's a certain little like situation where you just jump over to the other side, and you kind of all of a sudden like are in, like you're in it to win it, and you just want to like, what does Mike say? In it for the biscuit. You kind of like get in it, and you just want to like try different stuff, and I feel like there's something to be said about just like having these experiences, and all of a sudden you get like addicted to trying like new things and just trying different experiences, and be like, I'll try that. I'll try it once. If it doesn't kill me, let's try some, whatever else. But
exactly,
I think that we just want our kids to get to that point, that's what it was. Risk it for the biscuit. I'm busy thinking of like Limp Bizkit, like what did Fred Durst say? I don't know what's going on. So
I get that from my nephew. Risk it for the biscuit.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh man, I love it. Oh gosh, should we? Is it time? Is it time to discuss? Is it time to tell everybody what happened?
Dive in.
Discuss.
Oh yeah, I think we're
all right. So I feel like I've been. It is. I feel like I've been like keeping it secret. Like this is as if we're about to tell you some like life altering experience. Get your expectations in handle, everybody. Okay, that's cool. All right. So check it out. So we decided at some point, Mike and Sara and I were like, why don't we go out to eat and bring our kids? We'll go out for some sort of random food, and we'll each bring like one or two of our kids, depending who's available, and we'll just see like if we could like have fun together, because like I love these guys. I love hanging out with Sara and Mike, so it was cool because like they don't get to see each other a lot, but like it's kind of cool for us to all be together. And we were like, let's just pick a place. It's like a little bit crazy for the kids, like something that maybe they wouldn't necessarily eat or something they haven't tried before, and let's just like see what it's like to experience them trying food out. Like let's just watch it and see what happens. So we found this
Be adventurous.
Be adventurous, right? So there were I feel like all over the country, I feel like this is becoming more and more common. There's these Korean hot pot restaurants that are popping up, and essentially what they are is it's like you choose a broth, you get like these soups that either are like a family style, they're right in front of you, and they sit at the table, or you I think more of a modern twist on this is that on your table you get like these burners so that you could choose your own broth. and then it's kind of more of a communal experiences of like getting different meats and different vegetables and different things to like chuck in the soup and see what happens. So the places that we go to also have the Korean barbecue as kind of like an add-on. So this, I don't know if this is like in other parts of the country, but in New York, what they're doing is these places are like, okay, you pay a set price based on the size or height of your child, and then you or the height of your person. So if you're on the shorter side, I guess you're like, yo, I'm under this size. That's just what I pay. And then you should have fought for it. I respect that. 5 Feet of Fury, you should get a discount. So so you get like you decide if you're just gonna have this hot pot experience or if you're gonna add on and do like the Korean barbecue. And the Korean barbecue is kind of fun because it's also a similar experience, but in this case, there's like a grill that's right in the middle of your table, and then everyone gets like kind of random raw food, and then you put it on the grill and you eat it, all that good stuff. So so we were all together. We roll into this place. It's very exciting. And all of a sudden we go to sit at a table and they're like, yeah, you got to be sit at 2 different tables side by side. We're like, come on, man.
I know. That was a bummer, but we made the best of it.
Exactly. It was a good time.
So let's see. So Sarah brought, you brought Julian and you brought Sophia.
And Sophia. Yep. So
it turned out to be really cool, right?
Yeah, no, it was a good time because we've been to a Korean barbecue, actually a Michelin star restaurant in the city. So we were familiar with it, but we had to pick from a menu. So this was a buffet, and the kids went like wild. They were like grabbing a bunch of things off the plate. I was following Sophia at some point because I'm like, she knows what to do. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like she's like Mike Height and I were having like the hardest time figuring out where to start, where to go. Right? Meanwhile, I felt like the kids were just instinctively knowing where to go. They're like, okay, I'm gonna get some sushi. Lucas was getting. I felt like Sophia was like, oh, I see ramen. I'm getting that. I'm getting this. I'm getting. Julian was like, yo, where's the raw meat for the soup? And like we went over there. Like the kids found everything they needed. Meanwhile, I was like still spinning around in a circle with an empty plate.
Listen, you first off, I feel like you deserve the first medal of the night where you roll into town and there's all these choices and you're like, huh, look at that donut. And then he just started it out. So first off, respect everything you were doing in that moment.
So there were some toddlers next to us, and they were so cute and adorable. And they were eating these like really amazing looking honey buns. And you know how kids sometimes, especially little ones, they eat something and they make it look amazing because they're like, it's so big for their mouths. They're kind of like working on it. It's all over their face. They're sticky.
Just indulging to the nine.
But right, and like they're like loving it, and you're like, ooh. So I saw them. I really saw like a little 2-year-old, and I was like, yeah, I want some of that. I'm like, wherever that is.
I want some of that honey bun.
I want that honey bun.
Like your kids are like getting meat and vegetables, and you come back with a donut. I'm like, you're the best. I love this.
I'm like, yo, you got to get this, guys. I'm like, honey buns, man, for the table.
Yeah, now I'm like, I'm fighting my like parental instincts, and I'm like, I'll eat it at the end of my meal after I eat my vegetables and my meat.
I'm like, whatever.
See Sarah make a beeline straight to the honey buns. She knocks a couple kids out of the way.
Yeah, I'm like, move over, children. I need them while they're hot.
I felt like I must have looked like just a fish out of water because I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, wait, which? And I'm like, we're standing there, and Mike's standing next to me. Like, we got the sushi for Lucas. You're standing, like, you were up there, I was up there, and like, meanwhile, like, you're right. Like, Sophia and Julian have everything on lockdown. They had like their plates ready. They're already cooking things on the grill. And like, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, wait, is this the meat for the soup? Is this the meat for the barbecue? Somebody help me out here.
And meanwhile, we got a gentleman, the server. He explained everything to us, and it was like one of those like turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right, and you're like, you got it. You're like, totally.
Oh yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Sure,
I got GPS.
At the
guess
left
what?
or the
GPS
right
doesn't help you in the Korean barbecue.
Yeah, that didn't help. I needed a map.
Listen, let me tell you, I walked in there. I got there first as we were waiting for you guys. Me and Lucas are just like waiting in the lobby, and we're looking around. We're like, wow, this is kind of cool. This is interesting. We're like trying to explore it. Lucas is like, wow, this is a really nice place, Daddy. I'm like, I know. It's pretty cool. And he's like, what do we do? What's all these things in the middle? I'm like, Lucas, I have no clue, man.
Yeah, girl, I have no clue.
We're just going to, listen, my son, all I know is there is sushi and it's all you can eat. And there's all this stuff too. And we're going to try it. He's like, wait. There's sushi all you can eat. I said, yes, my son. enjoy. He's like, ooh. And Lucas, when he gets really excited, he does like this little thing with his fingers. He puts them close together.
Like
really fast. Yeah.
Like,
like some type of malicious thing is going to happen.
He's like, activated. I love it. I love it.
So and then as soon as we started, we were like, oh my God, what do we do? And him and I are looking around, and we just kind of like looked around at the tables to see like what everybody else was doing. We saw that they were making like, okay, this is a plate of vegetables, this is a plate of meat, this is a plate of whatever else, and then everybody was just cooking, throwing it in the soup, trying all different things. It was a really cool experience, and the kids were just going to town, and it seems like they knew more than we did because they were ready and they were adventurous and they were just trying it, and it was great. It was great. It was a great experience.
I think that's what it is. Like they were just adventurous. They were like willing to try whatever it was. It was just such a novel idea to them, the whole situation. Meanwhile, like the three of us were like overthinking it. Like, what do we do next?
Right.
What's for what? Like, there's no rules. Like, as long as you're eating it and it's not raw, like unless it's meant to be raw, like we're good to go. You know what I mean? Like, Julian like threw some of the soup meat on the hot plate. Like he didn't care. He was just like throwing things everywhere. Like, and we just eating it. It was awesome.
Did you have that moment where you were like, because this happened on several occasions. After, by the way, Sara was like completely like awesome. She was like the den mother on top of the responsibility of her own children. She stands up at one point. She's like just looks at us for a second, and like she looks at like a little bit of a confusion. Then she steps away. She comes back with like ladles and spoons and napkins. She's almost like, have you guys ever eaten food before? Because it looks like you haven't.
I felt like such a new person. I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this wrong.
Because I was looking around. I'm like, where's my spoon? Where's my fork? Where's my like stuff? And I'm like, oh, we have to get it for ourselves. And then I looked over you guys. I'm like, they got nothing either. I'm like, let me go get it for everyone. I was like, because I'm starving.
It's so funny. I think I was having like I think I was in a quandary because like 100%, she's amazing. We all know this story, but this needs to be said. There was a moment where like, and this happened several times, where like I was so used to like picking up chopsticks and just like eating that like I had to like stop myself because I kept wanting to touch the raw meat with the chopsticks.
Yes,
and I was like, whoa. Pump the brakes, home slice.
Eating.
So I had to like separate like the plate that I was eating was like this goes to the side, and then like Jacob and I had like our plate of like whatever we were cooking, and he was so excited, and he's so funny because he's like, I'm like, what do you want to get? He's like, I don't know, I'm just gonna get what you get. I'm like, all right. So I look at him and he's like, we'll just try it. And I think he was like kind of looking over to Sophia and seeing what she was doing, and like none of our kids at any point of the game were like freaked out or nervous. They were just like thrown at this like, okay, first off, parents, let me just tell you, if I had like done this in any way differently, like this was like the moment of like Indiana Jones where he has a sandbag, he's kind of figuring out what's the right size, and the whole thing comes dooming down. It was like the moment of like, if I had interjected my own opinion about like what should be done, I feel like it would all come crumbling down. But it was just like, they were just like in their own world of just like, that looks good, I want to try that, who cares if it's bad, there's so many other choices, where they didn't feel this pressure of like, I have to choose one thing out of this list of items and I could choose badly, I better go with something that's comfort zone, but they didn't do that. They were just like, that looks good, let's just get that random meat and that one. You want vegetables? Nah. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna grab a couple mushrooms, let's try that. Whatever.
No, okay.
And they were so good, and they had the bulgogi and like the I don't know what beef flap is, but in my next life I want to know what beef flap is because it was delicious. There was like ribeye, there was what is this like basically bacon, short like rib. Pork belly, short rib.
Yeah. Oh, I got the pork belly. That was good.
That was good, right?
Good time.
And then they even had shrimp, right? With a shrimp with a completely head on, completely just like in its. And I was like, Jacob, these look good. You want to get some of these? Like, all right. I'm like, we'll get some of the other ones too. But something tells me these look like they're going to be good. So we got all this. We got a random Thai sausage. So we get all this stuff, and we get back, and it's just like chucking things in the things on the grill. And it was like so much fun because at one point, like I realized like my kid does not cook that much. Like I do a little bit with him, but like I don't like. So I'm like, he's like, well, what should we put on? I'm like, what should you put on? So I gave him the tongs, and he was having a lot of fun. He was like flipping the food, and like I'm like, I don't know, what do you think? I'm like, and he had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, even Lucas said like, Dad, this is a great way to teach kids how to learn. And I'm like,
oh, he's so cute.
how to cook. And I'm like, dude, you're absolutely right. And that's part of the excitement, just like throwing stuff on the burner, watching it cook, and wondering, is it ready yet? Is it not ready? And he's like, Dad, is this ready to eat? I want to try it. So it was really a really cool experience. And I didn't think, because a lot of people I think may have the idea of like, oh, I have to cook my food when I go out and sit down. Like it's kind of annoying.
She's upstairs.
Yeah.
Love you, honey.
But too. And it can be annoying, but it can also be fun. And it's like what I always say, it's all part of the experience to like, it's not one of those places where you're all like, oh, let me look at the menu and order something really good. It's like, it's going there, cooking food, having fun with it, eating it, enjoying, and the fact that it tastes good is even better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I felt like it was also
with our food, right?
Oh, yeah, we literally played with our food, but I felt like it was like a good way to like make combinations of different things. Like, like my kids were throwing corn in their soup and they were throwing like a little veggies in there. Yeah. And then like Sophia was very organized because she was like putting everything like separate. Like, so she knew like good food handling. Meanwhile, Julian's like throwing like raw and cooked. I'm like, you can't do that. Why not? I'm like, because that's not cooked, that's cooked. Like you're getting it all mixed up. You got to keep things separate. So it really was like a fun learning experience, and at the end of the day, like as long as like everything was cooked and like even the stuff that touched the raw stuff, you cooked a little bit more, you were good to go. Like it was just a fun time. One thing my children learned was a very valuable lesson was if the waiter says something is very hot or maybe they don't like it, they don't recommend it, you should listen, because my kids were like, I want the hot broth. And I was like, but the man's saying it's very hot. My daughter's like, nope, I can handle it. I'm like, okay. Then my little guy, he like has heartburn sometimes. He's like, I want hot ramen.
Oh, no.
And I was like, Julie, you should get the mild one. And he's like, nope. And I could tell like when he like really digs in his heel sometimes. And I was like, okay, I don't want to embarrass him in front of everyone. Let him get the hot and he'll learn. And I was like, let me get the mild one because, just to be safe. Well, that hot was no joke. It wasn't even like hot. It was like scorching, like burn your nostril hairs, your sinuses. Wow. It wasn't even like, no offense to the place, it wasn't very good because it was just unbearably hot. Like it wasn't like, I don't know who actually eats that. Yeah. No, it didn't. It had like more like that smoke. So like I took some to try to like soften up Julian's like broth, and I didn't realize how hot it was. So when I breathed in like all that hot steam and it hit the back of my throat, I like died for like a good 5 minutes because it was just smoke hitting right in the back of my throat. Like it wasn't even like, I didn't even taste hot. It was just like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just when that heat hits your back of your throat.
Like,
that's happened to me.
Gas,
like you breathe
poison.
it in and you start choking.
And you're like, I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I'm like, I didn't even get like a taste in my mouth. Like I didn't even know. My mouth is not even hot. My throat is like hot. Like the back, my esophagus is
where
hot.
Did this come from?
I know. So that gentleman was very nice, and he was like, not good. I was like, nope. He got 2 different types of soups for my kids, and I was like, yeah, stay in your lane, guys, stay in your lane. So they learned
I like
a valuable lesson.
Stay in your lane. But I like that. There was something. I think there's something to be said, and I don't want to like overlook what you just brought up, and I want to just make mention of that. Is that there's something to be said about like treating the waiter at your table, like first off with respect, because that goes with first and foremost. But 2 is like ask them like, what do you like? And he was so nice, he was so friendly, and he was like, well, first there were a couple things. One was like he took pity on us with their terrible cooking, and they got like they like swapped out our char grill at one point because it was so blackened over with like just char and like it was like carbon and everything. So he was like, I'm like, so like, how do you go about this? Like, what do you recommend? Is it like hotter in the center? He's like, yeah. It's like throw the thin stuff for like the bacon or the shrimp like in the middle, and then on the outside throw the thicker stuff. It takes a little bit longer to cook. So once we kind of like learned a little bit from him, and then I was like, what's your favorite? Like, what do you get? And then he was like, try the garlic shrimp, try the garlic chicken, try this. I'm like, all right. I'm like, you're the man. I'm like, let's do this. I'm doing this. So he smiled a bit because I think he was like, it's nice when people ask like. I always trusted people that are the wait staff because they know. So like when you go out to eat, you're like, all right, listen, I have a couple ideas for what I eat. Which one should I get? And then the waiters are usually awesome, and they'll tell you, be like, no, I wouldn't, or like occasionally like they don't need. They're like, all right, this is a popular item. A lot of people will get this, which is like, all right, fine, whatever. But I so much more prefer when they're just like in it. They're like, yo, I've had this. It's all right, but if you really want something good, and it's not always the most expensive thing. Sometimes it's the cheaper thing. They're like, this is where it's at.
I always listen to the waiter. Like Jean loves to ask, like, what's your between this and this? Like, what do you really recommend? And like for whatever reason, it's always like the two things. They're like, well, I wouldn't get any of those things. They're like, I would get the off. Like usually it's like the thing I picked out. I'm like, because it looked good. I know or whatever. So like. Yeah. But I always listen to the waiter.
Your teeth are like, ding.
But like I can think about like even like I went to a restaurant most recently with our cousins, and the waitress, she was like so enthusiastic. Like she was like, yeah, I can eat that. That's good. We're like, what about this? She's like, oh my God, I would get that. And I was like, that's it. That's what I want. Like if you have that reaction, right? I want it. Yeah.
You know, talking about the waitress makes me think about, do you have like your kids try to order from the restaurant, or do you order for them? You know, like how does that play into, what are you a supporter of? Letting your kids order, or do you order? I think
it depends on the kid, right? Because like my older guy, I feel like I'm okay with him deciding what he wants, but like obviously it can't be like, you know, the most expensive thing on the menu. But like if it's within reason and he wants to eat it, I want him to have it. I want him to try it, you know?
Right.
And then for like, you know, unfortunately more of our picky eaters, I don't say names, then we feel more inclined to order for them, you know? But like this was such a better experience to have, like, to not have to choose. I guess that's kind of the experience, you know?
It was nice to have them pick everything out.
We're just trying to make them adventurous, right? So
yeah, like, no, exactly. Like trying to make them adventurous, to go out of their, like they're on the ledge a little bit. I've always, ever since they were little, if they could order the juice that they were going to have, they picked the juice. Like, I'll be like, okay, what kind of juice do you want? And then apple juice. So I always had them order because, one is super cute. I used to waitress, so I used to love it when a little baby was like, "I want apple juice," and you're like, "Okay, no problem. I'm gonna get you the biggest juice ever."
And then you're like, "Can you not bring that until the food comes, please?"
Yeah, you're like, first, can you water that down too a little bit? But also too, like, I want them to like learn how to like talk to people, like whether it's the cashier, the hostess, the waiter. You know, everyone in their daily lives. Everyone works hard for their stuff. You know, and I want them to treat everyone with respect. So like, you know, like always, please and thank you is a big thing. I always say please, thank you. You know, I try to model that as well. And I always have the kids like, okay, I'm like, no, you're gonna order this. Okay, how do you want your burger well done? You want it with no extras on it. You're gonna have to learn how to order it, because there's gonna come a day when I'm not with you, and you're gonna have to articulate it to the parent or to the waiter or waitress what you want. So you need to learn how to order your food. You know, Absolutely. So I always, ever since they were little, I always started to make them order this stuff, because I just felt like it was like an important life skill for them to have.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's so important too, that you're like modeling respect to the people that work there, right? Yeah. Like I feel like there's all these articles and things and like these. I mean, all right, maybe I shouldn't go as far as calling them articles. I mean, I love BuzzFeed sometimes, but you know, where like you talk, where you even see like where they talk about like. I know this sounds unrelated, but I think it is. They talk about like ultimate, like those BuzzFeed things where they talk about like, you know, when they go through Reddit and they're like, you know, what are the experiences where you've gone on a first date and you've immediately decided you never want to go out with this person again. And you always see something where like a person went on a date with a person and one of them was rude to the waitstaff, or like acted like they are not on the same, they're not equals to them. They talked down to them, or they were rude. And like that is a great life lesson right there to teach your kids how to be respectful for the people that are around them, and that no one that is working in a restaurant, if they're like, you know, any part of the restaurant, deserves any less respect than, you know, anybody else. And I think that it's good that we get to model that for them. Do you Mike, do you let your kids choose? Do they?
I mean, I am just like Sarah. I have been letting my kids choose. You know, I go over.
I'll have
with
the
them.
fillet.
I go over it with them before the waiter and the waitress comes. Okay, hey Lucas, do you know what you're ordering? Hayden, do you know what? Even Hayden, she'll you know, she's 3 years old, and she'll say, you know, she'll circle what she wants on the little kitty menu.
It's the best
part. And then she tries to say it, you know, and you know, obviously if she can't articulate it, we'll help her out. But you know, all my kids, since they've been young, anytime we go to a restaurant, and they're still young, but I always have them order, because, you know, I actually used to be a server and a waiter for many years, so I kind of know, you know, a little from the other side of it too.
Definitely.
You know?
Been there, done that, right?
It's adorable. What I always did was like, okay, they ordered that. There's a chance they may not like it. So I always, just like the hot soup, I ordered the safer item where if you don't like that, I'll eat it because I'll eat whatever. And
you're a good mom.
Yeah, no, and I'll sacrifice. I'll be like, all right, I got the grilled cheese sandwich or whatever here.
I got you.
Yeah, I got you. Like, you don't want
I've been
it, like, and
dreaming
that's
all
okay.
week about having this child's grilled cheese dish.
Exactly. So I really wanted the mac and cheese with hot dogs in it. But just I do it. Maybe that's always the right answer. But like sometimes I just want them to try stuff, and like if they're willing to try it and it's a little out of the box for them, why not take a risk?
Yeah.
You know what? Let's call it for what it is. Like going out with your kids. If they're happy and enjoying the night and they're not causing a big stink,
exactly,
you eating whatever is far better than you getting a great meal and them having a terrible time,
Exactly. Unless it's like a really expensive restaurant that has delicious food, then it is gloves off. You're on your own, kids.
I know, it doesn't matter.
Just to speak to what you're saying, Mike, is we went to the diner this past weekend, and right after church, we went to a diner just to have breakfast as a family, and we were all sitting there, and it was like the most enjoyable time as a family. Just everybody was eating something that they like, because that's what I like about diners. You could have lunch, you could have breakfast, you could have dinner, whatever a kid wants, they could order it. Lucas was like, "Oh, Dad, could I get pancakes and French fries?" I'm like, you know what? Why not? Get some pancakes and French fries. You want
some spanakopita? You want some mozzarella?
I love it.
Whatever.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ellie wanted chicken fingers and French fries. Hayden just wanted eggs, and we were all sitting there. Everybody was, chewing. We were talking. We were eating. It was just a fabulous time. And I think really what I enjoyed the most is that all the kids were eating without like wasting anything.
You
know what I mean?
Oh, I love that. That's the best. No, I love that. And there are times that we've done wacky days, even like Sophia, we still call like a reverse day or wacky day. And there've been times we've gone to like Chili's because Sophia's like favorite restaurant, and we're like, we're gonna order dessert first, then our dinners. Yes.
Oh, I like that.
And we're like, ooh, we're gonna do this. And the waiter's like, all right, I've seen that before. Like, no big deal. But meanwhile, me and Sophia are like, dessert first. Oh yeah, like we're gonna do it just because why not? Like,
I can picture that little smile on her face.
Not?
Like she must love it.
Yeah, and especially if they time it where like the fries and the burger comes out, then you have the sweet and salty all together.
Ooh.
And like I'm sure you can say like I want it out all together, but there's something about like being like purposeful and saying dessert first.
Yes.
I'm
gonna rephrase it. I'm gonna rephrase that whole thing about that. We talked about that article from whatever from like a few weeks ago. I'm just gonna say that Sara won the week this week. That is awesome. Yes. Oh my God, we would go out to eat, and there's this thing with Noah because he's like like Hayden and Noah, they're like the younger ones now, and he it's so funny. He doesn't say pancake right. He says panpape, and my wife refuses to fix it. I'm like, listen, when he goes to kindergarten, we're gonna have to figure this out. But right now, you can keep your panpape, okay?
It's a panpape. I love it.
So why don't we take a moment? Let's see what the experts had to say with all of this crazy stuff. But I will tell you that going out with two good friends and their kids and having a night out and just enjoying it, watching the kids have fun. Man, there's nothing better. I love you guys. All right, let's check this out. We got ourselves. I love you, man. We got this article here, and what it is an article in Forbes.com, which I do not subscribe to because they told me I could read 3 more articles this week. So I have a PDF here that I quickly made. So anyway, I thought this was a good article. So the article was titled "How to Survive Eating Out with Your Kids," and it's pretty wild. I think that once you get past all the the shenanigans, some of the great tips that I liked here were. One was they say like favor Italian, Mexican, or Chinese because invariably the kids will find something crispy, fried, or with cheese on it. So wherever there's noodles, there's a high probability the kids will eat them. So I like how this article wasn't necessarily about like how to talk to your kids about ordering our food. It was like, let's just call it for what it is. Here are some situations in which you might have a higher probability of walking out alive. So they were also like, don't let them just order. Just choose. This is interesting. Just choose several items that they're not familiar with and have the waiter set them all on the table, like family style. And I could get my head wrapped around this with like going out for Chinese food.
Yeah.
Like we order a bunch of dishes, everyone shares. It's just what it is. And when they ask, what is that? This is what they say in the article. When they ask, what's that? Just say, try it. And if they say, what if I hate it? And say, then don't try it. And it's just this moment of like, do it or don't. Who cares? And then I think that immediately drops that.
Not. There is no try.
Yeah. I mean, Yoda is busy eating like, trying to steal Luke's granola bars and eating frogs. So what does he have to say for himself? So, but anyway, this situation, like this, I think what it basically is, what we didn't maybe necessarily realize is we emulated that by just being in an environment where there was this big, variety of buffet stuff. But maybe this is like a way to do it. Maybe like treating our experience and going out to have food like the way we did, we could do that on a smaller scale of just treating like all kinds of food like in that family style environment where like it's okay to mess up because there's other options on the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It says tell the manager to get something to nibble on to the table immediately. A little bread and butter, Mexican chips, Chinese noodles. It's funny because I'm almost like they're gonna ruin their meal because I'm hearing my mom telling me this. But they're saying in this article, which is interesting, is that sometimes kids' blood sugar levels could get them really cranky. And my middle guy, he's like me. If he doesn't eat, his blood sugar drops, and then he's like, he's a beast. He's a monster. And
really?
I get that way too. So I know that.
Yeah, she gets hangry.
She does also.
Yeah.
You got to get some protein, and then it's like protein stat, and then it said like another thing that was kind of good was about like don't dawdle, don't like go off on like what's good, what's not good, just like bust it out. It says the 1 minute 45 second rule should be enforced that everyone has to make it a choice within that time frame. So look at it, make a decision, get it, and then as a parent, like I love Sarah's idea of like have the backup plan, get some good things, get them ordered right away, don't overthink it. And they say ask for a table near the restroom and one you can get up from easily, and you know why, obviously. And it said that like small children might be allowed to bring some small toys to the table, but stifle their mania for playing video games. Get that stuff off the table. Don't have video games or distractions. Make it so that like they're aware of like when the food hits the table that they're just taking it all in, and like invariably like maybe one thing doesn't look good, but because that one thing doesn't look good, somebody else will look better. So this idea of like you gotta look, something's gonna look good in this table. You don't know what it is necessarily, but just have something. By us going out to an environment where there was just like a plethora of crispy fried delicious choices, we didn't do so bad.
One thing I have to add where I might be like slightly disagreeing with him was the teenager thing, because like Sophia, I felt like she was engaged, and then there were times she was on her phone, she was kind of doing her own thing, or she was cooking or whatever. And I think maybe because you guys are just really awesome, like we're engaging her and things like that, and she engaged as well. But I think sometimes you have to also appreciate like teenagers, like even though they're quiet, they might look disengaged for a bit, they're kind of still soaking it all in. They're kind of listening to the grown-up conversations and things like that. So I kind of like just let them be a little bit, I think she was smiling in our group photo, which is huge,
Oh yeah.
So that means like, is she like, when we got in the car, she goes, I go back there again. She's like, she really liked the experience, And if you were like outside looking in, not knowing her, you might be like, oh, this kid on the phone, TikToking, Snapchatting or whatever. Meanwhile, she's like taking pictures of her food. She's like, she was cooking, she ate all the food and stuff like that. She enjoyed the company. So like, sometimes, yes, they may be impossible to please, but if you just give them a little leniency, they might rise to the occasion, I think.
I loved having her there. I thought it was so cool having like the big kid there, because I was like, and Jacob was like, he was like a little shy, like he was like next to me and like doing stuff, but he was loving it. And like, I think like he was kind of happy Sophia was there. He's happy Lucas was there and Julian, and like they just kind of made it look so easy and having fun,
They really did. They had a good time. And after the boys named the crawfish their names, Bob and Robert, and we had Charlie.
There was one moment, it was so funny that I just had to bring up that there was, so like Julian was like never had, I don't know if he never had a crawfish or never like took one apart.
Never did.
So he never did. So I'm like, yo, just pop the head off. And like, he's like, yeah, all right. And then like, yeah. And I'm like, Julian, are you gonna like suck the head? I'm like, that's what they do. So Sophia's like, Julian, suck the head. And I was like, all right. And it was like, it wasn't even like, there wasn't even like a split second of hesitation. It was like, either like, and after I turned to Sophia, I'm like, were you like, is this like a thing? Like, were you like messing with him? Like, she's just like looking down at her phone. She's like, Julian, suck the head. And it was like, he's like, all right. And it was like, I don't know if he was like, you're not scaring me, I can do this. And he had no problem. And it was just so funny. I was loving it. And I'm like, Sophia, like, you messing with him? He's like, no, he's just doing it. So I was like, well, just do it,
She's like, I know you do it.
They have a nice little relationship. I thought it was awesome.
Do. That's what I'm talking about. There's like this snark that's there, and at the same time, she's like, just do it, man. And like, he he listens to her. Whatever she says is like the golden book. He's her biggest cheerleader and everything like that.
I love that though.
She says to do
cool.
it. Julian's like, I'll do it. Like I was gonna do it, but now I'm really gonna do it. So
Sibling love. There's nothing.
Exactly.
When no one's
time.
around, I want you to tell Sophia that Mike and I think that she's an awesome sister.
I will.
Yes. She
I'll
killed
just
it.
whisper to her. I'm like, cool.
Listen, nobody needs to know about this. We won't say this in front of your brother, but just for the record. And it was so cute because when we were leaving the people that the management, whatever, there was a woman in the front, and we're like, "Can you take our picture?" And she's like, "Yes." So she got us all lined up, and she got us like in the front near the sign. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. We had a really good time.
Heck
No,
yeah.
it was fun. It was definitely fun. We enjoyed it.
More food for us again. Let's do more exciting things.
Food and smiles. I'm here for it. I love it.
Oh,
Right?
the next thing we should definitely try is food trucks. We should do like a food truck tour.
Oh, you're not scaring. You're not scaring me, buddy.
We're there. We
All
love
right.
a food truck.
I'll tell you what. If I think we are without a doubt happy that we did this, and when it comes to our little show, if you had experiences that involved steaming hot, burning your face off, spicy food, or you've had food that you've never necessarily tried before with your kids, whatever else, we'd love to hear from you. If you have questions or comments, a topic, an idea, a parenting story, or a fail that you experienced, you could contact us. Maybe even tell us about an upcoming birthday for your kiddo. You could contact us on our Hey Other Parents voicemail line at 559-LAY-KIDS. If you're feeling fancy in French, and if you want to dial a phone number like other people, look in the show notes and their phone number's there. 2, you could email the show at heyotherparents@gmail.com. Keep it weird, keep it short, keep it interesting. Whatever. Just write us an email. 3, you can join us on Instagram at Hey Other Parents. That's not hard to find. We will try to keep you up to date on show info, polls, more, and without a doubt, you'll see questioning parental moments, things about our show, and we try to give you a graphical depiction and an AI imagery just to make you say to ourselves, wow, you're not alone. This is what they're doing too. I guess it ain't all that bad. All right, so we are back for some Parenting Unplugged, time to unplug. Don't forget, you'll be a better we if you take care of me. By the way, my wife and I were listening to this, to our podcast in the car, and I said that part about don't forget you'll be a better we if you take care of me. She's like, what?
She got that far. Yes.
She's like,
yes.
I think you take care of yourself just fine. So, all right. So, this week, Mike Levine, why don't you start us out this week? What do you got from your Parenting Unplugged?
So let me tell you, I rarely get time to watch TV, and when I do wake up at 2:00 in the morning, I have been looking.
We call
for
that
a show.
my time.
Yeah. I have been looking for a show to watch, and I've been interested. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Welcome to Wrexham on Hulu.
No.
And it's with Ryan Reynolds and I forgot the other guy, Rob McElhenney, yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, these two actors have bought a soccer team in Wales called Wrexham, right? And they have lifted, and they've been in like the bottom tier of the soccer charts, and they're trying to kind of promote them so that to make them better and promote them within the league. And they have been doing this. Like they have, like the first season is them just kind of like trying their hardest and they don't make it. But I think the second season, I actually looked it up and they did win. So I kind of like know the ending of second season, but I want to watch
You're
it.
so funny.
But they got promoted, and I'm like, and what they've done to this town and how much like it's really inspiring. It's really interesting. I think you guys should check it out.
Well, it's funny because when I originally saw the commercial for this, I obviously had it completely wrong, but I thought that everybody was trying to get in on the Ted Lasso action. And I didn't realize that it was actually like a real thing.
No,
and it was
yeah,
Ryan Reynolds and the
thing,
dude from
yeah.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They're like together and hysterical to begin with, but like just the fact that they could rally around this and like they're like, oh, we bought a soccer team. Like you did what? It's like crazy, yeah.
It's really cool, and it's funny because it's like all the people from Wales are like, we're not letting any Yankees buy our
our
soccer
club,
our
our
soccer
club,
team,
whatever.
our soccer club, and they let the Americans in, and they've become a real part of the community, and it's just really inspiring, really nice, really a kind-hearted show, and funny too, because Ryan Reynolds and Rob McClenney are very funny as well. So it's cool. You should check it out.
You just brought me back to like going to the South. I know, like you said, Yankee. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I went to visit my buddy. His aunt was there. Josh's aunt was talking about that guy that we visit, and we would go, and his aunt, first time she met me, she's like, you know the difference between a Yankee and a damn Yankee? I'm like, well, I imagine you're gonna tell me. And she's like, well, a Yankee comes to the South, but a damn Yankee doesn't go home. I was like, oh man. I know, but I'm like, I like you. And we were laughing and giggling about 20 minutes later. But it was, anyway, on that note, Sarah D, what do you got?
All right, Five Below, my favorite store ever created. So there was
Good
a
candy.
Pokemon puzzle that I was like, ooh, me and the kids will do this together. And Julie and I started it off, but I wind up doing it by myself, and I finished up the Pokemon puzzle. And it was like one of those ones like where there's a repeated pattern over and over again. So it wasn't
that's challenging.
it was actually really challenging. And I always wanted to do like this mac and cheese or like a black like it's all black puzzle. Like
wow, you're like a glutton for punishment.
I know. I've been wanting to try it. So the Pokemon one was like the dipping your toe into the pool of really hard puzzles. And it was a fun time. I enjoyed myself, even though it was meant for kids. But you know what, guys? You're never too old to make a puzzle. and it was all 100 pieces. So it was super easy to do at the same time, but hard because it took me a couple days. And it was satisfying, I have to say.
Very
Hopefully
nice.
you and
Very
Rachel
nice.
have to talk. I just don't want to. I don't want you to become her friend. No, you're my friend.
You were my friend first. My friend first.
She's really into puzzles too. It's so funny. She like really enjoys it. And like we were doing puzzles as a family, and like occasionally she'll just start a puzzle, and she's like to do it like a little bit of time. She has like a puzzle mat. She rolls
That's
it up.
cool. That's cool.
Does she get a little possessive over the puzzle? Because I know I do. I'm like, don't touch it. Like this is my puzzle.
Well,
don't touch it.
She doesn't get well, I mean, maybe a little bit. Although Ethan will roll around and be like, "Can I do the last piece?" We're like, "No, dude, you didn't earn it." But the there's something about she'll like sort it all by color. Like she has like these little trays, and she like sorts it all. And I just want to find the outside corners, like just like the flat pieces,
right.
But she's like, oh, I got sorted by color. I'm like, you are out of control. But then she's got a system that works really well. But I don't have I don't feel like I would want to go through that first step of sorting. So she's a better human being than I am. But yeah, so
she is more organized.
Quick question: when you guys finish the puzzle, do you save it and like paste over it so that
she did? She got
frame
the
it, or do you
what's that
destroy
stuff
it?
called? The Mod Podge stuff. Whatever.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
She did that, and then here's the thing: she found this out, or she figured this out. You Mod Podge the front of it first because like you can't flip it over; the whole thing will fall apart. So you Mod Podge the front of it. Let it dry, then you could flip it, and then you do the back a couple times, and then you could put in a frame, hang in the wall. So we have a couple hanging up there now. And,
that's awesome!
There was a Zelda one that we did, and she took it over, and at one point, like it got really, really hard. Like I think what you were describing, where like the background was just like all black or all brown, or whatever it was. And somehow like my nephew they lost one of the puzzle pieces.
Oh no.
So we have this puzzle and there's like one piece missing. We framed it. I was thinking of like even like adding like a little puzzle piece of like one piece is missing here, and we like write the words in there. But it's fine. So it's hysterical.
That's
so I have the Zelda puzzles like
pretend that this is a leaf.
Oh, it's hysterical. I know. It's
That'd
so
be
cute,
hysterical.
Right? I should buy a new puzzle and get that piece. My wife's like, you're insane. Don't do that. But,
No, me, I don't shellac them or anything like that. I crumple it up and call it a day. I don't know.
You know what? There's a company
what
that
do I
actually,
do with
we'll
it
talk
now?
about this at a later date, but there's a company that you could actually subscribe to where they send you puzzles, you do them, and they send them back. I don't know if it's like actually like worth it or not, but we should look
They're
into
not
that.
committals. I like it. What about you,
All right,
Mr.
so I
Height?
gotta tell you guys about this movie that that I like with whenever people are like your favorite movie, I'm always like The Goonies and Princess Bride. Done. So anyway, so this there's a movie called Finding Ohana. Did you guys see this on Netflix by chance?
No, I did not.
No, it's okay. So it's very easy to look over because it looks like stereotypical, like weird children adventure movie. And it could look like, if you just take a quick look at it, it might as well look like it's Dora the Explorer or whatever. So anyway, so we see it. We watch this trailer. And we saw it a few years ago, and it looked like a little violent. We're like, maybe not yet. I don't know if the kids are into it. So anyway, so Ethan's been like, I want to see Finding Ohana. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm into it. So like we go through these phases where it's like video game night, hanging out with the kids night, doing this, doing that. So eventually like it circles back to somebody making a decision of what they want to see. And Ethan was like, I want to see Finding Ohana. And then like now we're like debating, do we want to see this? Do we want to see that? I'm like, all right. I second it. We're finding it. We're watching Finding Ohana. A little screaming, a little yelling. Everybody's now fine, sitting on the couch watching Finding Ohana. Let me tell you a story. This movie was killer, but the part of it, and I'm watching it, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is like blatantly ripping off the Goonies. Like, what is happening right now? So we're watching it, and then all of a sudden, the dude, I can't think of the actor's name, but the dude that played Data, the actor that's becoming famous, he's in the movie, and I'm like, what is happening right now? And I look down, and I just see something out of the corner. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second, pause, rewind. On the side of his keys, he has a keychain in the movie that are like teeth, like the chompers from Goonies. And I'm like, no way. So my wife grabs her phone and we look it up, and this movie is filled with Goonies Easter eggs. The whole movie has nothing but Goonies Easter eggs for the whole thing. And it had like a reference to Indiana Jones with like, where like Short Round is like driving with the blocks in his feet because he's too short to like be on the car. And there's all these things that are like showing up in it. And apparently like it's not a blatant ripoff of Goonies. It was an ode to Goonies. And you know me, I'm like, I'm in now. Now I'm into this. And it was like, it wasn't amazing, but it was like a lot of fun. And I think what made it fun for us as parents was like knowing to look for all of these Goonies references once we like started watching it. So anyway, so I think you should check it out. It takes place in Hawaii. It's this idea of like this family that's moving back home or going back home to take care of her dad who's sick because he's about to lose his home. Sound familiar? Yeah. The Goondocks, right? You know what I mean? So anyway, so like it's about these sister and brother. They fight all the time. They meet some other people and they have to go on this adventure together to save. It's like the whole thing. So it's very similar, a little majestical, a little Hawaiian magic. Finding Ohana. Ohana means family. So it's like about going back to your roots in Hawaii and all that stuff. But anyway,
I like that.
It was cute. It was really fun. Maybe like a little bit older of the younger kids, maybe like, 7, 8, that kind of thing. Right. But it was great. I really liked it a lot. And if you're looking for a random movie that's like essentially free if you subscribe to Netflix, this might be the one for you. And if you could find all those Goonies references, then you know that I got love for you. All right. So on that note, I think we are out of time to wrap, and we're going to wrap up this episode on adventurous eating with your children as you sit there and you think about the soy sauce and the sesame oil dripping down your chin and all the good things, and maybe that sesame ball filled with rice with red bean paste and that little donut on the way out or on the way in. But we'd like to take a special moment to thank our listeners and tip jar supporters for donating to the show. If you want to help support the show to allow us to keep making episodes like this, we do have a tip jar set up in the show notes. If you have time, we'd greatly appreciate you leaving us a review in Apple Podcast app. Search for the show, scroll down to the bottom, 5 ratings and reviews, and let us know what you think. We can't wait to explore this parenting thing again with you next week on Hey the Parents, because there's a 3 of us and all of you. Don't forget to hug your kids and charge your Chromebooks. That's going to do it for me, for Mike, and for Sarah. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
You guys are on cue now for bye-bye. Bye-bye. Hey the Parents. I love it. Hey the Parents is produced by Mike Levine, Sarah Desirines, and me, Michael Haidt. I edit and mix our show. Our intro voice recording was done by the one and only Coltrane. If you like our show, we hope you'll consider going to the show and supporting us through our Stripe tip jar and consider becoming a member. Doing so supports us and gives you access to an exclusive Hey the Parents episode each month. Find us online on Instagram at Hey the Parents or send us an email at heytheparents@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.